I usually talk about things that relate to being an INFP on this channel because I'm an INFP, or about things that relate to writing because I am a writer. But today, I wanted to talk about something else, and it is about I want to discuss some of the things that come with having a chronic illness and one seemingly simple thing that can really help a lot. So, having a chronic illness is basically like having a disability that no one can see. Like there are some disabilities that are visible. So people see someone who has a disability, and because whatever it is something that you see right away, it triggers empathy in their mind, um, and they kind of get an idea of what this person might have to deal with every day. And that's a good thing to have empathy for other people and what they have to go through, even if we don't fully understand it, to try and understand it. But then there are other disabilities that you can't really see. And when someone tries to explain them to other people, because you're not visible, it might make other people think that the disability isn't really serious or that it's even made up. And I have celiac, and I'd heard of it before when I was first diagnosed. And in fact, the first time I met someone who had celiac, I remember thinking, oh man, you can't eat anything with gluten. That's like, how do you live? Because I ate so much gluten all the time, just like most normal people do. You eat, because gluten's in so many foods, it's in almost everything. So yeah, I remember thinking, wow, and feeling sorry for her. But then, after I left her and moved on with my life, because she moved away or something, I kind of stopped thinking about it. But then after I got really, 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 really sick and was finally diagnosed with celiac, the way I dealt with it, oddly enough, is I was just like, oh, okay, whatever, this isn't a big deal. It's not like it's a disability. Actually, it is. And I learned that the hard way. It's something that there is no cure for. So you just have to live with it. And it's not just you have a stomach ache. It's not that. It ruins your whole life, basically. I didn't realize that like people who have celiac might have trouble having kids. They deal with like emotional issues. Um, like I've been in the hospital twice for major events that have to do with celiac and with another chronic illness. It's just, it's weird and life altering. But because when you look at me, I know I look weird, but when you look at me, you don't right away see that like something is wrong with my body. Even like my, a lot of my friends didn't really understand. And things that, I don't know, they just didn't understand. And it can make you feel really isolated. And I think this is something that a lot of people who are diagnosed with any sort of chronic illness go through, because you're living in pain for most of your life. Like every day you are in pain and you don't want to go around complaining all the time. You can start to feel really isolated and like no one understands you, and you just don't have anyone, you can't express what you're feeling in a way that other people who aren't going through what you're going through can understand you. And if you do try to express yourself, you sound like you're complaining. So most of us just shut up and don't talk about it, unless someone asks. And yeah, it's sad. It's really sad. And it took a long time for me to realize um, how much of an impact a chronic illness has on your life. Because, like I said, when I was first diagnosed, I guess that's just the way I am. Whenever a major life change happens, I'm like, okay, this will be fun. It'll be exciting because it's different. And I like change. And so like I made it kind of a game to see what new foods I could try to cook that didn't have gluten, to buy all these gluten-free products and stuff. Like it was kind of fun. I even made a YouTube video, which might still be somewhere out there on YouTube, where I'm talking about how great gluten-free food is and how celiac disease is not a big deal at all. All you have to do is just not eat gluten. I was such an idiot. Because after eating these gluten-free products, I got more sick because they're not really made for people with celiac. When you have a disease that is like that just has completely upended your autoimmune system, you can't eat foods that have a lot of sugar. You can't eat foods that have a lot of salt. You're not really supposed to eat potatoes or rice, or like you can hardly eat anything. And even though a product is labeled gluten-free, a lot of times it has potato stuff in it, like potato flour or starch, or rice flour, or a whole bunch of sugar or a whole bunch of salt. It's like, oh my God. You start to realize slowly that just because something is called gluten-free doesn't mean that it's going to make you feel any better than eating. You're still going to have the same side effects as if you just eaten gluten because of all the other processed stuff in it. So after years, I realized, maybe I should just do a plant-based diet. So I did that, except I nearly starved myself to death because I wasn't getting enough nutrients and like almost died. And friends who did not understand celiac thought I was like anorexic. So it's really difficult. Like people will think all kinds of things. They'll assume you're anorexic. They will assume whatever, or that you're making stuff up. It's really difficult, and you feel alone. That is my point. But what is helping me, and this is really simple, and I can't believe it took me this long to figure it out, is to go on Facebook, and you know how they have groups on Facebook? Search for under groups, type in celiac disease or whatever your chronic illness is. And you'll find a whole bunch of private groups of people who all have been diagnosed with this disease. And they just kind of talk about what they're going through. They share helpful tips that they've learned with other survivors. And after I joined a couple of those groups, it helped so much because like I said, I felt completely alone. Like even some of my friends the one who I mentioned insinuated that I was like anorexic or something and things like that. When people you're close to don't really understand and they make these wild assumptions about you or even look down on you because they think you're just being lazy when you can't go places because you're sick or stuck on the toilet or something. You feel like a freak. So after I joined a couple of groups for celiac disease, I found other people who were listing the exact same symptoms as me, the exact same weird symptoms that I'd never heard of anyone else going through. But there were like hundreds of people all over the world, not just in America, but like all over the globe who had the same experiences as me and felt alone just like me and had people in their family and their friends that did not understand them, even doctors who would misdiagnose them. So I was like, oh, okay, so I'm not crazy. That's what that told me, first of all, that this is not in my head. Because I remember also, before I was diagnosed, and I was having all these weird symptoms like hives and for seemingly no reason. But because I knew that whatever was happening to me was associated with food, I would stop eating. And when I didn't eat, I felt better until I was like starving. So then I'd have to eat, and then I'd get sick again. And when that happened, I remember someone in my family was like, I think this is all in your head. It's just something's going on up here. So I'm like, okay, so you think I'm crazy. And honestly, for a while, I did wonder, is there something wrong with me? But no, that's what happens when you have a weird chronic illness that doctors don't really understand. So, yeah, a lot of people had that exact same experience. And it just made me feel validated. It made me feel like a person again and not some weirdo who was different from everyone else and was always in pain and couldn't hardly eat anything when everyone else could like enjoy their food. Um, so yeah, if you have a chronic illness, please, please, please join a group, whether it's through Facebook or I was going to say in person, but right now during the pandemic, you can't really meet in person with people. Or maybe through like meetup.com, they might have some chronic illness groups, and they might be meeting via Zoom or something like that during the pandemic. But it really helps so much. And also, like if you live with it for a while and you start to learn some tricks of the trade, so to speak, some little tricks and like what vitamins help you to feel better. Is there a diet you've done that's really helped? And you can share that with other people who are new, who are recently diagnosed, and it will make their transition into lifestyle with a chronic illness a little bit easier. So, yeah. And if you have an illness like celiac or Crohn's disease or bad thyroid disorders, because I have those too, and they can really, really mess up your life. But if you have any of those, just know that you're not on your own. There are a lot of people out there who deal with this and who suffer in silence because they realize that when they do speak out, people who aren't ill don't usually understand. So you're not alone. Everything's going to be okay. I did ramble a lot in this video today, so I apologize for that. But it's because it was it's really close to my heart, so it's a little bit emotional. But thanks for watching. Bye.